My beloved child, listen carefully to this moment, because heaven itself has leaned close to you right now. This is not an ordinary day. This is not a random message. Archangel Michael is standing in authority and light, declaring that this exact moment carries the 2525 blessing, a divine alignment that does not repeat easily. Out of all the minutes in your entire year, this one has been marked, sealed, and chosen for you. Something that has been delayed is already unlocking. Something you thought was still far away has already begun moving toward you. Archangel Michael says, do not underestimate what is happening right now. What feels quiet on the surface is loud in the spirit. What looks invisible is already active in the unseen realm. Heaven has been working behind closed doors, and now the door is no longer shut. The handle has turned. The seal has cracked. The miracle you have prayed for in tears, silence, and exhaustion is already opening, not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. This is why you were drawn here. This is why your spirit felt a pull you could not explain. Archangel Michael says this minute carries unusual favor. It is the kind of favor that overrides logic. It bypasses human delay. It interrupts cycles that kept repeating year after year. The 2525 blessing is not about luck as the world defines it. It is about divine timing colliding with obedience and faith. Hear this clearly. You did not miss your moment. The enemy tried to convince you that time ran out, that others moved ahead while you stayed stuck, that the window closed. But Archangel Michael declares that the window never closed. It was preserved for you. This minute is proof that heaven waited until you were ready to receive without fear. There is a reason Archangel Michael is speaking now. You have been standing at the edge of something new, but doubt kept whispering, wait. Fear kept saying, not yet. Past disappointments tried to train your heart to expect less. But today, Archangel Michael cuts through that noise with his sword of truth and says, my child, do not wait anymore. Look. Pay attention. See what is already forming. A miracle may not look dramatic yet. It may come as a conversation, an idea, a sudden clarity, an unexpected opening, or a release in your spirit. But do not measure it by size, measure it by movement. Anything that begins moving after being stagnant for so long is evidence that the blessing has already entered your timeline. Archangel Michael says you have survived a season that should have broken you. There were moments you held yourself together with nothing but prayer and breath. You smiled when your heart was tired. You kept going when no one knew how heavy it felt. Heaven recorded every single one of those moments. And now, the reward is not delayed anymore. This minute is lucky because it is protected. This minute is blessed because it is intentional. This minute is powerful because it is authorized. The 2525 blessing carries a double release. What was held back and what was never expected. You are about to receive not only what you asked for, but also what you stopped asking for because you thought it was impossible. Archangel Michael says, I am restoring your courage to expect again. Do not rush past this message. Do not treat it casually. When heaven speaks urgently, it is because timing matters. There are choices that feel small but carry large consequences. There are moments that look ordinary but determine the direction of months ahead. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael is urging you to stay spiritually alert. Pay attention to signs. Listen closely to your intuition. Be careful not to dismiss what comes gently. Miracles do not always arrive loudly. Sometimes they whisper first. But once you respond, they grow quickly. You may feel an emotional shift right now. A calm you did not have earlier. A warmth in your chest. a sudden hope rising without explanation. That is not imagination. That is confirmation. Heaven is aligning you internally before the external change becomes visible. This is also a warning spoken in love. Do not delay obedience. If you feel prompted to act, speak, forgive, apply, leave, or begin, do it. Waiting out of fear can slow what is already released. Archangel Michael says, "Move with me, and nothing will block you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are exactly where heaven can reach you. The 2525 blessing is not chasing you. You are standing inside it right now. The door is open. The path is clear. The protection is active. All that is required now is awareness and trust." Archangel Michael says, "My child, keep watching. What unfolds next will confirm everything I have spoken. My precious one, breathe into this moment again, because Archangel Michael is still speaking, and what is unfolding now goes deeper than what your eyes can see. The reason this minute feels different is because something ancient has shifted. Cycles that followed your bloodline, patterns that repeated without explanation, and burdens you carried that were never truly yours are being interrupted. Archangel Michael says this is not only a blessing for you, it is a turning point that echoes forward and backward at the same time. There were delays that confused you. You questioned why effort did not always produce results, why sincerity was met with resistance, and why doors seemed to open for others while yours remained quiet. But Archangel Michael reveals that many of those delays were not denial, they were protection. If certain things had happened earlier, they would have cost you more than you gained. Heaven was not withholding, it was refining the timing so that when release came, it would come clean, complete, and without regret. This is why this minute matters so much. It is not just lucky because something good is coming. It is lucky because something harmful has already been removed. Archangel Michael says unseen battles were fought on your behalf. Words spoken against you, intentions formed in secrecy, and energies sent to confuse your path were intercepted before they reached you. You may never know how close some situations came, but you are still standing because divine defense was active long before you realized you needed it. Notice how your thinking has slowly changed over time. You are not who you were last year. The things that once triggered fear no longer control you the same way. The approval you once chased feels less necessary. This inner shift is not accidental. Archangel Michael says heaven strengthened your discernment before increasing your blessings. Without discernment, favor can become a trap. But now, you can tell the difference between opportunity and distraction. The miracle opening now is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to stabilize you. It will bring clarity where there was confusion, order where there was chaos, and confidence where there was hesitation. Archangel Michael says, "I am not giving you something you cannot sustain." That is why it feels gradual even though it is powerful. Heaven is building a foundation, not just giving you a moment. There is also something important you must understand about this 2525 blessing. It activates when you stop shrinking yourself to fit old environments. You have outgrown certain spaces, conversations, and expectations. Remaining there out of loyalty or fear would quietly drain what heaven is trying to grow. Archangel Michael is not asking you to become cold or distant, but he is asking you to become honest about where you no longer belong. You may feel a gentle separation happening. Some connections may naturally fade. Some routines may no longer feel right. This is not loss. It is alignment. When God prepares a new chapter, he also clears unnecessary weight from the previous one. Archangel Michael says you are being repositioned, not isolated. Pay attention to what begins to excite your spirit again. After a long season of endurance, joy may have felt muted. But now, small sparks are returning, ideas, visions, desires you thought were buried. These are signals. They are invitations to step forward with expectation instead of defense. Archangel Michael says creativity is returning because stagnation is breaking. Do not rush the process by comparing yourself to others. Your timeline is not your assignment. What is unfolding for you carries a specific purpose that requires your unique experiences, wounds, and wisdom. Nothing was wasted. Even the moments you thought were failures became training grounds. Archangel Michael says, what tried to weaken you actually qualified you. This is also a season where your words matter more than you realize. Speak carefully about yourself and your future. Heaven is listening closely because agreement is being formed. If you speak from fear, you slow the flow. If you speak from faith, even quietly, you strengthen what is already moving. Archangel Michael urges you to bless what is becoming, even before it fully appears. There will be moments ahead where impatience tries to creep back in. When that happens, remember this truth: what is divinely timed cannot be rushed, but it also cannot be stopped. You do not need to force doors open anymore. The right ones will respond to your presence without struggle. These will become your confirmation. Stay present with this message a little longer, because the next revelation builds directly on what your spirit is already recognizing. What is coming next will explain why this blessing required such precise timing and why your patience was not in vain. My beloved soul, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to something even more profound, because what is opening for you is not only a momentary miracle but a shift in spiritual authority. This is why the energy around this minute feels weighty yet peaceful at the same time. Heaven is not rushing you. It is establishing you. Archangel Michael says that before visible breakthroughs appear, there is always an invisible transfer of authority, and that transfer is happening to you now. For a long time, you questioned your own strength. You wondered why certain struggles seemed harder for you than for others. You did not realize that the intensity was not meant to crush you, it was meant to awaken you. Archangel Michael reveals that you were being trained to stand firm in moments where others would collapse. That strength you developed quietly is now becoming the very thing that carries you into this new season. There is a divine reason this blessing did not arrive earlier. If it had come when you were still seeking validation, it could have distracted you. If it had come when your boundaries were weak, it could have drained you. But now, you are different. You have learned how to listen before reacting, how to wait without losing faith, and how to trust without needing constant proof. Archangel Michael says this maturity is what makes you ready. You may notice that fear is losing its grip. Situations that once caused anxiety now feel manageable. This does not mean challenges will disappear entirely, but it does mean they will no longer define you. The 2525 blessing carries emotional stability as much as external favor. Heaven is aligning your inner world so your outer world does not overwhelm you when change accelerates. Archangel Michael also speaks of restoration in areas you stopped talking about. Dreams you quietly put aside, prayers you whispered once and then buried under realism, are being revisited by heaven. Not all dreams return in the same form, but their essence remains. What you truly desired, peace, freedom, purpose, security, is still very much on the table. There is also a healing happening in how you view yourself. Shame from past choices, regret over missed chances, and self-blame for things that were never fully in your control are being lifted. Archangel Michael says you are not defined by your worst moment or your weakest season. You are defined by your willingness to keep going when it would have been easier to give up. This minute is lucky because it marks the end of internal conflict. For too long, part of you wanted to move forward while another part was afraid of repeating pain. That inner division slowed your progress more than you realized. But now, alignment is taking place. Your heart and your mind are beginning to agree. When that happens, movement becomes natural. You may soon experience confirmation through unexpected channels. A message, a conversation, a sudden opportunity, or a sense of certainty that arrives without explanation. Do not dismiss these confirmations because they seem simple. Heaven often speaks through what feels ordinary. Archangel Michael says obedience to small nudges unlocks larger doors. There is also a call to remain humble during this transition. Favor attracts attention, and attention can test character. Stay grounded. Stay grateful. Remember where you came from and who carried you through. This humility will protect what you receive and ensure it multiplies rather than fades. You are stepping into a phase where your presence alone brings calm to others. People will seek your perspective, your reassurance, your wisdom. This is not accidental. Archangel Michael says the comfort you once needed is now flowing through you to others. What you survived has become medicine. As this blessing unfolds, release the need to explain yourself to everyone. Not everyone needs to understand your journey. Some people are meant to witness the result, not the process. Protect your peace. Guard your joy. What is sacred should not be overexposed. Archangel Michael is also reminding you that rest is part of obedience. You do not have to exhaust yourself to prove faithfulness. The season of constant striving is ending. Balance is returning. You will still work, still show up, still move forward, but without the heaviness you carried before. Let this truth settle into you. You are not catching up anymore. You are stepping into flow. What once required force will now respond to alignment. What once felt delayed will now unfold with clarity. Type I receive the 2525 blessing in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 2525 has just been released over your life. And hear this sacred invitation clearly, because it flows directly from this moment. As Archangel Michael speaks of open doors and released blessings, this message itself becomes a vessel of light. I feel led to tell you, when you support this mission, you are not supporting a channel. You are helping God reach souls who are standing where you once stood, searching for hope in silence. Scripture declares that when you sow into good ground, the harvest rises like a river that does not run dry, and this word is living proof of that promise. I am speaking to you personally now. If your heart feels stirred to act, this is your moment of obedience. Your support becomes seed, and that seed becomes light carried into homes, hearts, and lives that desperately need it. Do not delay what God is prompting. Move as the Spirit leads you. I declare that every hand that gives will see open heavens, multiplied provision, and peace that guards their household. Step forward now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and release this act of faith without hesitation. My dear child, Archangel Michael continues to unfold what this blessed minute is setting into motion, because the changes ahead are not only external, they are structural. Heaven is reorganizing the way your life flows. What once felt scattered is being gathered. What felt unstable is being reinforced. This is why you may feel moments of deep reflection lately, almost as if your spirit is quietly taking inventory. That is not confusion, that is preparation. There is a divine recalibration happening. Your priorities are shifting, not because you are losing interest, but because clarity is sharpening. Things that once demanded your energy no longer deserve it. You are beginning to recognize what truly nourishes you versus what merely consumes you. Archangel Michael says this discernment is essential, because where you place your focus in the coming days will determine how smoothly the blessing unfolds. You are entering a season where alignment matters more than effort. In the past, you pushed yourself to exhaustion trying to make things work. You carried responsibilities that were never assigned to you by God. You fixed, managed, and held together situations that drained your spirit. But now, heaven is teaching you a new rhythm, one where grace replaces force. This does not mean you stop acting. It means you stop overextending. Archangel Michael reveals that some of the resistance you experienced before came from operating outside your divine flow. You were capable but not always positioned. Now positioning is changing. You will notice doors opening that require less explanation. Opportunities will feel lighter, more natural. You will sense when something is right without having to convince yourself. There is also healing happening in your expectations. You once hoped intensely and were disappointed deeply. That cycle taught you caution, but caution slowly turned into restraint, and restraint turned into silence. You stopped expecting to protect your heart. Archangel Michael says this minute begins to restore healthy expectation, not naive hope, but grounded trust. Do not be surprised if you feel prompted to simplify your life. Clearing space physically, emotionally, or mentally is part of the preparation. Heaven does not pour new wine into cluttered vessels. This simplification is not loss. It is refinement. Each thing you release creates room for something more aligned to enter. Your intuition will become stronger during this phase. Pay attention to how your body and spirit respond to people and situations. Peace will become your indicator. If something consistently disturbs your inner calm, it is a signal. Not everything that looks good is meant for you. Archangel Michael says protection often comes disguised as discomfort. You may also find yourself reflecting on past relationships, both personal and professional. Not with bitterness, but with understanding. You are finally able to see lessons instead of wounds. This shift is significant. It means those experiences no longer control you. When memory loses its emotional charge, authority is restored. This blessing is also connected to your voice. You are being encouraged to speak more honestly, but with wisdom. Silence kept you safe before, but expression will set you free now. Whether through conversation, creativity, prayer, or action, your voice carries weight. Archangel Michael says when you speak from alignment, heaven echoes your words. There is a subtle courage rising in you. It does not feel loud or dramatic. It feels calm. It feels steady. This is the courage that makes decisions without panic and moves without apology. You no longer need permission to honor what God is doing within you. Be patient with those who are still adjusting to the new you. Growth can surprise people who are used to an older version of you. You do not need to defend your transformation. Let consistency speak. Over time, clarity will replace confusion. Archangel Michael also reminds you that rest is not retreat. There may be moments when things slow briefly, not as delay but as integration. Allow those pauses. They are spaces where strength gathers and insight settles. Movement does not always mean speed. Sometimes it means depth. As you continue forward, remain aware that this blessing carries responsibility. Not pressure, but stewardship. What you receive will grow based on how you honor it. Gratitude, humility, and awareness will keep the flow steady. You are no longer waiting for life to happen to you. You are participating with heaven in shaping what comes next. This is why this minute was marked. This is why Archangel Michael spoke urgently. Not because something fragile is at risk, but because something powerful is now active. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay attentive. The path ahead is becoming clearer with every step you take. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to the unseen momentum building around you, because what feels calm on the surface is actually charged with movement beneath. This is the phase where heaven begins to rearrange circumstances quietly, so that when changes appear, they feel natural instead of shocking. Many miracles failed to sustain because they arrived too suddenly, but yours is being integrated into your life step by step, so it stays. You may notice subtle shifts in your daily experiences. Small inconveniences disappear. Problems that once demanded effort resolve with less resistance. People who once complicated matters become neutral or drift away. These are not coincidences. Archangel Michael says this is divine housekeeping. Heaven is clearing pathways so you do not stumble while carrying what is coming. There is also a strengthening of your inner compass. You are less easily influenced by external noise. Opinions that once swayed you now pass through without attachment. This clarity is essential because the next phase of your life requires discernment more than speed. You are being trained to choose wisely, not quickly. One of the greatest lessons you are mastering now is trust without urgency. In the past, waiting felt like punishment. Silence felt like rejection. But now, waiting feels different. It feels purposeful. Archangel Michael says you are learning how to rest while things move on your behalf. This is a sign of maturity and faith. There is something important being healed in how you view time. You once felt behind, as if life was a race you started late. That belief created unnecessary pressure. But heaven is correcting that perspective. Your life is not late, it is layered. Each season added depth, wisdom, and resilience. What you carry now could not have been carried earlier. This blessing is also reshaping how you handle responsibility. You are realizing that not everything requires your intervention. Some battles are not yours to fight. Some outcomes do not depend on your effort. Archangel Michael says learning when to step back is just as powerful as knowing when to act. As your nervous system settles, your creativity will awaken. Ideas will flow more freely. Solutions will come unexpectedly. This is because peace creates space for inspiration. Stress blocked insight before, but calm invites it. Pay attention to moments of quiet clarity. They are gifts. There is also a gentle warning wrapped in love. Do not return to old habits simply because they feel familiar. Comfort can sometimes disguise limitation. If something no longer aligns with who you are becoming, it will begin to feel heavy. Honor that signal. Growth often requires letting go of what once felt safe. Archangel Michael says this season favors consistency over intensity. Small, faithful steps will produce greater results than dramatic efforts fueled by anxiety. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the guidance unfolding within you. You may experience moments of nostalgia, remembering who you used to be. Let those memories pass without judgment. They are reminders of how far you have come, not invitations to go backward. Every version of you serves a purpose, but not every version is meant to remain. There is a quiet confidence settling into your spirit. It does not announce itself. It simply knows. This confidence allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. It anchors you when circumstances fluctuate. Archangel Michael says this confidence is armor, not against people, but against doubt. As you move forward, you will notice that what once drained you now teaches you. Challenges may still appear, but they no longer feel personal. You are learning to observe instead of absorb. This emotional distance is not coldness, it is wisdom. The blessing unfolding now also affects how you receive from others. You are becoming more open to support, less defensive about independence. You are realizing that receiving does not make you weak, it makes you connected. Heaven often delivers answers through people, not just events. Remain patient with the unfolding. Some outcomes are still forming behind the scenes. Premature exposure could disrupt the process. Archangel Michael says what is incubating in silence will emerge with strength when the time is right. You are doing better than you think. Progress does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as peace where there used to be tension. Sometimes it shows up as clarity where there used to be confusion. Recognize these signs. They are confirmations. Continue to walk gently but confidently. The path is stable beneath you. The blessing is active around you. And heaven remains attentive to every step you take. My precious child, Archangel Michael now speaks with clarity and firmness, because this stage of your journey requires conscious participation. What heaven has initiated will continue to unfold, but how smoothly it manifests depends on your awareness. You are no longer in a passive waiting season. You are in a responsive one. This is where alignment becomes action, and faith becomes visible through small but intentional choices. You may notice that situations are presenting you with options more frequently now. Decisions that once felt distant are arriving sooner than expected. Do not be intimidated by this. Archangel Michael says these choices are not tests meant to trap you. They are confirmations that you are trusted with movement. Heaven does not offer responsibility without readiness. There is also an increase in spiritual sensitivity during this phase. You may feel more affected by certain environments, conversations, or even media. This is because your spirit is becoming refined. What once felt neutral may now feel heavy. Honor that awareness. It is not weakness. It is discernment sharpening. You are also learning how to protect your energy without building walls. Boundaries are becoming clearer, not harsher. You are understanding that saying no does not require explanation, and saying yes should feel peaceful, not pressured. Archangel Michael says this balance is key to sustaining the blessing that is unfolding. This season invites you to become more intentional with your time. Where you invest your attention will directly influence your momentum. Distractions that once seemed harmless can now slow progress. Not because they are sinful, but because they are misaligned. Heaven is inviting you to choose depth over noise. You may find yourself less interested in surface-level conversations and more drawn to meaning. This is natural. Growth changes appetite. Do not force yourself to remain where you have outgrown the nourishment. Seek spaces, ideas, and people that stretch you gently rather than drain you quietly. Archangel Michael also speaks of discipline, not rigid control, but loving structure. Routines that support your well-being will become more important now. Rest, reflection, prayer, and creativity are not luxuries, they are foundations. When these are neglected, clarity weakens. When they are honored, guidance flows more easily. There may be moments when old fears attempt to resurface, especially when something begins to go well. This is a common pattern. The mind tries to protect itself by anticipating loss. But Archangel Michael reminds you that fear is not foresight. You do not need to prepare for failure when heaven is actively supporting you. Instead, practice staying present. Enjoy progress without immediately worrying about sustainability. The same grace that brought you here will carry you forward. You are not meant to manage the future alone. This is also a time to engage with what strengthens your faith. Messages that remind you of truth, testimonies that encourage perseverance, and words that align your heart with God's promises will be especially nourishing now. Feeding your spirit wisely will keep you steady as momentum increases. If this message is resonating with you, do not keep it to yourself. There are others who are standing at the same threshold, needing this exact confirmation. Like this video, share it with someone who needs reassurance, and leave a comment to anchor this word in your own spirit. Subscribing to this channel keeps you connected to messages that align with what heaven is doing in your life right now, and your engagement helps this word reach those who are searching quietly for hope. Archangel Michael also reminds you that encouragement is a form of obedience. When you support what strengthens you, you participate in its expansion. What you nurture grows. You are entering a phase where consistency will speak louder than declarations. Show up for your life with presence. You do not need to announce your growth. Let your peace, clarity, and confidence speak for themselves. Those who need to understand will understand in time. Be mindful of impatience disguised as motivation. You do not need to rush outcomes to validate progress. Trust that each step is building upon the last. Even pauses have purpose. Integration matters just as much as movement. There is something quietly powerful happening within you. A sense of self-trust is forming. You are learning to rely on your inner guidance without second-guessing every instinct. This trust will serve you well as opportunities expand. Stay close to what feels true. Distance yourself gently from what feels forced. You are allowed to choose alignment over approval. Hold on, because what unfolds next brings clarity to a question you have been carrying longer than you realize. The next revelation will connect the past, present, and future in a way that finally makes sense. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks with deep compassion, because this phase touches the parts of your heart that were shaped in silence. What is unfolding is not only about movement forward, but about understanding backward. Heaven is allowing you to see your story with new eyes, not to reopen wounds, but to finally make peace with them. This is the stage where meaning replaces confusion. For a long time, you carried unanswered questions. You wondered why certain doors closed without explanation, why some people left when you needed them most, and why your path seemed more complicated than others. Those questions lived quietly in you, even when you stopped asking them aloud. Archangel Michael says those questions were not ignored. They were preserved for the right moment. And now, the answers are beginning to surface gently. You may notice memories arising unexpectedly. Not to hurt you, but to be reinterpreted. Events that once felt like rejection are revealing themselves as redirection. Situations that felt like failure are now seen as protection. This shift is profound, because when the past no longer feels heavy, it stops influencing your decisions unconsciously. Archangel Michael explains that unresolved pain often disguises itself as caution. You thought you were being wise, but sometimes you were simply guarding old wounds. Now, healing is loosening that grip. You are learning to trust again, not blindly but bravely. This trust is not about people alone. It is about life itself. There is also forgiveness happening at a deeper level. Not forced forgiveness, not rushed forgiveness, but understanding. You are realizing that some people acted from their own limitations, not from a desire to harm you. This realization does not excuse what happened, but it frees you from carrying its weight. Archangel Michael says forgiveness is not approval, it is release. As this inner work continues, you will feel lighter. Decisions will come with less inner conflict. You will stop replaying conversations that no longer matter. Mental space will open. That space is intentional. Heaven fills emptiness with clarity when it is surrendered willingly. This part of your journey is essential because unresolved emotions can quietly sabotage blessings. Heaven does not want you entering a new season while still negotiating with old pain. That is why this healing is happening now, before everything accelerates further. You may also feel a renewed sense of self-respect. Boundaries you once struggled to maintain will feel more natural. You will no longer over-explain your needs or apologize for honoring them. This self-respect is not arrogance, it is alignment. Archangel Michael says when you value what God has placed within you, others follow that lead. Notice how your reactions are changing. Where you once felt triggered, you now feel observant. Where you once felt defensive, you now feel calm. These are signs of emotional authority returning to you. You are no longer governed by old patterns. There is also a reconnection with joy in simple things. Laughter comes more easily. Moments feel fuller. This is not because circumstances are perfect, but because your nervous system is no longer bracing for impact. Safety is returning to your inner world, and that allows joy to breathe again. Archangel Michael wants you to know that this healing does not erase your strength, it reveals it. You were strong when you endured, but you are powerful when you heal. Power allows you to choose differently. It allows you to live without armor. As you move through this stage, be gentle with yourself. Some days will feel clear and peaceful. Other days may feel reflective. Both are valid. Healing is not linear, but it is faithful. Each step forward counts, even when it feels small. You may also find yourself drawn to new forms of expression. Writing, speaking, creating, or simply sharing your thoughts more openly. This is your voice integrating with your experience. Archangel Michael says when healing and expression meet, wisdom flows naturally. Do not rush this phase. Integration cannot be hurried. What is being resolved now will determine how free you feel later. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility. It is the absence of internal resistance. You are becoming someone who no longer needs closure from others because you have found understanding within yourself. This independence is healthy. It means your peace is no longer outsourced. There is also an invitation to trust joy again. Happiness may feel unfamiliar after long seasons of survival. But joy is not dangerous. It does not invite loss. It strengthens resilience. Allow yourself to enjoy what is good without immediately preparing for it to end. Archangel Michael assures you that this healing is permanent. You are not revisiting old lessons. You are completing them. Once a lesson is integrated, it does not need to repeat. As this part concludes, hold this truth gently. Your past no longer defines your capacity. It informs your compassion, but it does not limit your future. What is ahead will feel lighter because what was behind has finally been understood. Remain open. Remain kind to yourself. The next movement builds directly on this freedom, and it will feel unmistakably different. My precious child, Archangel Michael now speaks with authority and reassurance because this phase marks a visible turning point. What has been forming quietly within you is about to reflect outwardly. This is the moment where inner alignment meets external confirmation. You may begin to notice tangible shifts. Responses come quicker. Doors respond differently, and resistance that once felt immovable begins to soften. This is not coincidence. It is synchronization. Heaven is now allowing others to see what you have already felt. For a long time, your growth was invisible. You change internally while circumstances seem unchanged. That invisibility trained your faith. But now, Archangel Michael says it is time for evidence. Not to prove yourself, but to strengthen your confidence in divine timing. When faith meets confirmation, momentum accelerates. You may feel a renewed sense of responsibility, not pressure, but awareness. What you carry now has weight. Your words influence more. Your presence affects environments. People may respond to you differently, even if they cannot explain why. This is spiritual authority expressing itself naturally. You do not need to announce it. Authority is recognized, not declared. This stage also invites discernment around opportunities. More than one door may open, but not every open door is yours. Archangel Michael urges you to choose based on peace, not excitement alone. What aligns will feel steady, not rushed. It will support your well-being, not compromise it. Trust the calm yes more than the urgent yes. There is also a deepening of trust between you and God. You are no longer negotiating every step with fear. You are learning to move with quiet confidence. This trust does not eliminate questions, but it prevents paralysis. You understand now that obedience does not require full visibility, only faithfulness to the next step. You may notice that certain prayers are answered differently than you expected. Outcomes may arrive in forms you did not anticipate, but they will fulfill the essence of what you asked for. Archangel Michael says heaven answers the heart, not just the words. Be open to unexpected blessings. They often carry the greatest wisdom. This is also a time when gratitude becomes powerful. Not forced gratitude, but recognition. When you acknowledge progress, you reinforce it. When you honor growth, you stabilize it. Take moments to recognize how far you have come. Reflection strengthens appreciation, and appreciation multiplies joy. As this blessing expands, protect your inner stillness. Noise can return quickly when things begin to move. Opinions, expectations, and comparisons may try to re-enter. Stay anchored. You do not need external validation to confirm internal truth. Archangel Michael says alignment will always feel quieter than approval. There may also be a calling to serve in some way, through encouragement, sharing wisdom, or simply being present for others. Service does not always mean doing more. Sometimes it means being authentic. Your testimony carries weight because it is lived, not rehearsed. Archangel Michael reminds you that humility will keep the flow open. Pride restricts growth, but gratitude sustains it. Stay teachable. Stay aware. Blessings expand when they are stewarded gently. This part of your journey is sacred. It is not about arrival. It is about integration. You're learning how to live in blessing without losing yourself. That balance is rare and precious. Type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments if you feel this message confirming what is already stirring within you. Blessing code 8841 has now been activated over your life. And now, receive this word that flows directly from what has just been released. As Archangel Michael speaks of alignment and visible favor, this message itself becomes an instrument of light. I am speaking to you personally. When you support this work, you are partnering with heaven to reach souls who are standing in darkness, waiting for a sign just like you once were. Scripture speaks of seed sown into good soil producing harvest beyond measure, and this mission is fertile ground. I feel led to say this clearly. Your action in this moment is prophetic. What you release here becomes a river of hope flowing into homes, hearts, and lives across the world. Do not hesitate if you feel the nudge. Obedience delayed can mean impact delayed. I declare that every person who gives will see divine return, protection over their household, and favor released in unexpected ways. Act now through Super Thanks, by joining membership, or through the PayPal link in the description, and step into this moment with faith and authority. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now invites you into a deeper awareness. because this phase is about stabilization after expansion. When movement increases, balance must follow. Heaven is not only interested in blessing you, but in sustaining you. This is where wisdom becomes just as important as faith. What you have stepped into now requires steadiness of heart, clarity of mind, and patience of spirit. You may notice that life begins to feel fuller, not busier in a chaotic way, but more layered. There are more conversations, more responsibilities, more opportunities to choose how you respond. This is intentional. Archangel Michael says abundance always comes with options, and options require discernment. You are being trusted to navigate without losing your center. There is a quiet invitation in this season to slow your internal pace, even if your external life becomes more active. You no longer need to rush to keep up. You are learning how to move with intention rather than reaction. This inner calm is what allows you to enjoy what is unfolding instead of merely managing it. You may also notice that your standards are changing. What you tolerate, accept, or engage with is becoming more refined. This is not judgment, it is clarity. You are no longer willing to trade peace for familiarity. Archangel Michael says this refinement protects the blessing you carry. There will be moments where you are tempted to overcommit, to say yes out of habit rather than alignment. Be mindful here. Growth does not require exhaustion. You do not need to prove your worth by doing more. Your value is already established. Choose commitments that support your wholeness, not ones that fragment your energy. This season also invites you to deepen trust in yourself. You have gathered enough experience, wisdom, and insight to rely on your discernment. Second-guessing will only slow you down. Archangel Michael says confidence rooted in humility is one of the greatest protections against confusion. You may feel called to reorganize aspects of your life, schedules, finances, goals, or even relationships. This is not restlessness, it is integration. When a new level is reached, structures must adjust to support it. Do not resist this impulse. Alignment often looks like reordering. There is also a subtle joy returning to routines you once found tiring. Ordinary moments feel more meaningful. This is a sign of presence. You are no longer living in anticipation of a future moment. You are inhabiting your life now. Archangel Michael says this presence anchors blessings so they do not slip away unnoticed. Be aware that growth can sometimes attract misunderstanding. Not everyone will recognize the changes in you as positive. Some may feel uncomfortable with your boundaries or clarity. This is not your burden to manage. You do not need to explain evolution to those committed to the past. Stay respectful, but stay rooted. You are also learning how to receive affirmation without depending on it. Praise may come, but it no longer defines you. Criticism may appear, but it no longer destabilizes you. This emotional independence is a sign of maturity. Archangel Michael says when approval loses its power, freedom increases. This phase encourages intentional gratitude. Not just thanking God for outcomes, but for processes. Gratitude for lessons, timing, protection, and even delays that now make sense. Gratitude grounds you in trust and keeps entitlement from creeping in. There may be moments where progress feels slower again. Do not panic. Integration phases often feel quieter. They are not regressions, they are consolidation. What is being built now is endurance. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing is being lost in these quieter moments. You are stepping into a rhythm where faith and practicality work together. Dreams are no longer abstract. They are becoming plans. Hope is turning into structure. This balance is powerful. It allows you to move forward with both inspiration and responsibility. Remain attentive to your inner state. When you feel rushed, pause. When you feel disconnected, reconnect. These small adjustments keep you aligned. Heaven guides those who listen, not those who hurry. You are no longer preparing for life. You are living it consciously. This awareness is a gift. Treat it with care. Protect your peace as diligently as you once protected your survival. Archangel Michael reminds you that this journey is ongoing. There is no final arrival, only deeper alignment. What matters is not how fast you go, but how faithfully you walk. Stay steady. Stay present. What is ahead will require the strength you have now cultivated, and you are more prepared than you realize. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks with a steady and grounding presence, because this phase is about conscious momentum. What has been established must now be maintained with awareness. You are no longer moving blindly or reacting to circumstances. You are choosing your direction with intention. This is a powerful transition, and heaven is watching how you steward it. You may notice that life is asking you to be more present than ever before. Distractions that once felt tolerable now feel intrusive. Your spirit craves clarity, not clutter. This is because your sensitivity has increased. Archangel Michael says when your spirit matures, it rejects noise naturally. Honor that instinct. You do not need to consume everything offered to you. There is also a growing sense of responsibility toward your own well-being. You are realizing that peace is not automatic, it is cultivated. Rest, reflection, and boundaries are becoming non-negotiable. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You cannot carry what God has given you if you are constantly depleted. This season may challenge you to remain disciplined even when motivation fluctuates. Not every day will feel inspired, but consistency will carry you through moments of uncertainty. Archangel Michael reminds you that discipline rooted in love is not restrictive, it is protective. It keeps you aligned when emotions shift. You are also learning how to pace yourself. The urgency that once drove you is being replaced by purpose. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. Progress is no longer measured by speed, but by sustainability. This shift is essential because what is coming next requires endurance. There may be moments where you are tempted to revisit old patterns under the guise of comfort. Familiarity can feel safe, even when it limits growth. Be mindful here. Archangel Michael says growth often feels unfamiliar at first, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Trust the new rhythm forming in you. You may also feel a stronger pull toward truth. Truth in conversations, truth in commitments, truth in how you show up for yourself. You are less willing to compromise your values for convenience. This integrity strengthens your foundation. What is built on truth lasts. As your confidence stabilizes, you will notice that your reactions continue to soften. You no longer take everything personally. You are able to observe without absorbing. This emotional regulation is not detachment, it is wisdom. Archangel Michael says wisdom allows you to engage without losing yourself. This is also a season where encouragement matters. What you allow into your mind will influence your direction. Choose messages that strengthen faith, not fear. Surround yourself with reminders of truth, not constant urgency. Your spirit needs nourishment, not pressure. If this word has been aligning your heart and steadying your mind, do not keep it hidden. Take a moment to like this video so the message can reach others who are quietly searching for clarity. Share it with someone who needs reassurance right now, and leave a comment as a declaration of agreement with what heaven is doing in your life. When you subscribe to this channel, you stay connected to messages that reinforce alignment, strength, and divine timing. Your engagement is not small. It amplifies this word beyond what you can see. Archangel Michael also encourages you to stay teachable. Growth does not mean you know everything. It means you are willing to learn continuously. Remain open to correction, insight, and refinement. Humility keeps you flexible, and flexibility keeps you aligned. There may be moments when you feel stretched again. Not overwhelmed, but expanded. This stretching is intentional and prepares you for greater capacity. Do not resist it. Stretching can feel uncomfortable, but it increases strength. You are becoming someone who responds rather than reacts. This alone will change the trajectory of your relationships and decisions. Calm responses create clarity. Clarity creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Be patient with your progress. Integration takes time. You are not meant to master everything at once. Each lesson builds upon the last. Trust the sequence. Hold on to this moment, because what unfolds next brings a revelation that ties everything together in a way you may not expect. You will want to remain present for what comes next, because this is where understanding deepens and purpose becomes unmistakably clear. My precious one, Archangel Michael now speaks in a tone of deep assurance, because this stage is about revelation through understanding. Not sudden revelation that shocks you, but steady understanding that settles into your spirit and stays. This is where everything you have walked through begins to connect. Pieces that once felt unrelated now form a pattern. You are starting to see the design behind the delay. There were seasons when you thought you were wandering. You questioned your direction, your decisions, even your faith. But Archangel Michael reveals that you were never wandering. You were being led through terrain that developed endurance, discernment, and humility. Shorter paths existed, but they would not have shaped you for what you now carry. Heaven chose depth over speed for you. You are beginning to understand why certain prayers were answered with silence. Silence trained your listening. Silence strengthened your intuition. Silence forced you to seek God inwardly instead of depending only on external confirmation. Now that inner connection is strong, you recognize guidance faster. You sense alignment quicker. This is fruit from the quiet seasons. This phase is also about identity settling firmly within you. You are no longer trying to become someone. You are recognizing who you already are. Labels that once defined you are losing relevance. Expectations placed on you by others are loosening their grip. Archangel Michael says when identity stabilizes, comparison loses power. You may notice that your decisions feel less emotionally charged now. You are able to think clearly even when stakes are high. This emotional regulation is not numbness. It is maturity. It allows you to choose wisely without being ruled by fear or excitement. There is also a deep peace forming around your purpose. You are no longer frantic about finding it. Purpose is revealing itself through what feels meaningful, sustainable, and aligned. Archangel Michael reminds you that purpose is not always dramatic. Often, it is consistent faithfulness in what you are already doing. This season invites you to trust your process without needing constant affirmation. You are learning to validate your own growth by recognizing internal shifts rather than external applause. This self-awareness keeps you grounded. It prevents you from becoming dependent on approval. You may feel a desire to simplify your future goals, not because you are aiming lower, but because you are aiming truer. Clarity is replacing excess. You are choosing what matters most instead of what looks impressive. Archangel Michael says clarity attracts the right opportunities. There is also reconciliation happening within you between faith and practicality. You no longer see them as opposing forces. You understand that faith inspires vision and wisdom structures it. This integration allows you to move forward without internal conflict. Be mindful during this phase not to rush into explaining your journey to others. Some will not understand yet, and that is okay. Understanding will come later through consistency. Let your life speak. Let your peace answer questions. You are also becoming more selective with your energy. This selectivity is not selfish. It is stewardship. When you honor your limits, you protect your calling. Archangel Michael says boundaries are blessings when they preserve alignment. You may feel moments of gratitude rising unexpectedly. Gratitude not just for what you have gained, but for what you avoided. For paths you did not take. For situations that ended before they caused greater harm. This gratitude deepens trust. This stage is quieter, but it is powerful. Quiet seasons often precede lasting breakthroughs. They allow integration, reflection, and strengthening. Do not underestimate what is happening now just because it feels calm. You are becoming someone who can hold blessing without losing humility. Someone who can experience favor without losing compassion. Someone who can move forward without forgetting where they came from. Archangel Michael says this balance is rare and precious. As you continue, remember that growth does not mean perfection. You will still have moments of doubt or fatigue. But now, you know how to return to center. You know how to pause, reflect, and realign. This self-correction is strength. Everything you have learned is preparing you for what comes next. The final unfolding will not feel chaotic or overwhelming. It will feel intentional. It will feel earned. It will feel right. Remain open. Remain grounded. What is about to be sealed will confirm everything heaven has spoken so far. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now stands in final authority over this message because this is the sealing moment. What has been revealed, healed, aligned, and strengthened is now being confirmed. This is not an ending. It is a consecration. Heaven is placing a mark of completion over a cycle that shaped you, and a mark of permission over the future that awaits you. What you step into next carries divine approval. There was a time when you asked God for clarity, and instead you received endurance. You asked for answers, and instead you were given patience. You asked for change, and instead you were given growth. Now you understand why. Archangel Michael says you were being prepared not just to receive a miracle, but to sustain it without fear. What is coming will not destabilize you. It will fit you. This final phase brings a deep sense of spiritual ownership. You no longer feel like life is happening to you. You feel present within it. You recognize your role, your responsibility, and your authority. This awareness is powerful. It means you are no longer waiting for permission to live fully aligned. You may feel a quiet confidence settling in your chest, different from excitement, different from relief. It feels like certainty. This certainty does not come from circumstances, it comes from knowing you are supported. Archangel Michael says when certainty arrives, anxiety loses its argument. This is also the moment where gratitude and expectation coexist. You are thankful for what has been, and open to what will be. You are no longer afraid to hope. Hope no longer feels dangerous. It feels natural again. This restoration of hope is one of the greatest miracles of all. As this blessing settles, you may notice that your prayers change. You ask less from desperation and more from alignment. You speak with trust instead of urgency. Heaven responds differently to these prayers because they come from a place of partnership, not survival. There is also a deep peace around your identity. You are no longer trying to outrun your past or overprove your worth. You know who you are becoming, and that is enough. Archangel Michael says identity anchored in truth cannot be shaken by circumstance. This moment also carries release. Release from self-blame. Release from old expectations. Release from timelines that never belonged to you. You are stepping forward lighter than you have been in a long time. This lightness is not carelessness. It is freedom. You may sense a renewed closeness with God. Not louder, not more dramatic, but more intimate. Guidance feels personal. Direction feels gentle. This closeness is the result of trust built over time. Heaven draws near to those who walk faithfully, even when the path is unclear. Archangel Michael declares that what you are stepping into now will unfold with less resistance than before. Not because challenges will never appear, but because you will meet them differently. You are no longer fragile. You are formed. There is also a call to remain watchful. Not fearful watchfulness, but attentive awareness. Blessings grow when they are noticed. Pay attention to small confirmations. Honor progress. Celebrate peace. These acknowledgments strengthen alignment. This is your confirmation moment. Not because everything is finished, but because everything necessary have been prepared. You are ready. Heaven agrees. Type "I receive my completion" in the comments if this message has settled deeply into your spirit. Blessing code 9117 is now sealed over your life. And now, hear this final word that flows directly from this sealing. As Archangel Michael completes this message, I am speaking to you heart to heart. This word did not reach you by accident, and neither is your response meant to be passive. When you support this mission, you are becoming a vessel through which God continues to speak to souls who are still in their waiting season. Scripture declares that those who sow into the work of the kingdom release soil that never runs dry. I am telling you plainly, this is your moment to act in alignment. What you release now will return as provision, protection, and peace over your household. Your giving is not a donation. It is a prophetic response to what God has spoken to you today. I declare blessing over every hand that gives, favor over every seed sown, and open doors over every obedient heart. Step forward now through Super Thanks by joining membership or through the PayPal link in the description, and seal this moment with action.